All right, it is Wednesday, September 20th, 2023, and today is our weekly cult meeting, Wizard Wednesday. Channeling in from the Quantum Downs, this is the Black Goat of the Wood, Elf J Trul, and joining me is...
Dotta, hello. I'm back, baby.
You're back.
You back. Shape-shifting Bearsnake up in the house. Hi, everyone.
What's up,
Love
y'all?
you guys.
What's up, y'all?
Hey, I'm good. Yeah, glad to finally be back at the old grind. Had a nice time out in New York, but there's no place like home.
Don't do that again. I don't like it when you
Yeah,
do
never again.
Yeah, stop that.
Yeah, it was a lot. It was a lot of work. I think it's actually easier to show up and go to work every day than to like take 3 children and try to get them to walk across the Brooklyn Bridge.
Well, you know what they say about going on a trip with your kids? It's not a vacation. It's a trip.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Field trip.
Sorry, baby Dotas
Yeah.
and Mrs. Dotta.
Yeah, I think the worst thing about you being gone was Bear made me talk about aliens in the last one.
Oh, man.
We were a little unhinged last week, I think.
Yeah.
I think 2 alien episodes is probably enough. Unless they show up or something.
No, there's never enough alien episodes. Let's be honest.
No, I enjoy it though. That alien from last week was particularly stupid.
Yeah.
And we made a bet. Bear thinks that we will have definitive proof that aliens are on the planet. What did you say? Within the year, Bear?
Like no, I said like 50 years. Within 50 years.
No, I think you said like even like 6 months.
No, okay. So first of all, we're both blowing each other. It's 12 months. But also, even if it was 50 years, it sounds like you were a little nervous.
No, I just know that I won't get my NFT because I don't think we're going to live to see 50 unless, of course, the singularity occurs.
God knows I'm not going to be around. Jeez.
What are you guys talking about? We are going to live until 90 years old. We're going to live to be 100. We have way better.
Dotta, you're gonna live to be 100.
Yeah.
I live hard and fast. I have no regrets. Let's go.
That's true. You should have seen some of the things I saw in NFT NYC a few years ago.
By the way, you should have seen some things I saw Elf do in NY.
Yeah, but not even NYC. I think you were even worse in Miami, to be honest.
I was working my butt off. I just remember outside of remember we went to that art show. It was a really great art show in Brooklyn, and we're outside, and like Dialectic Team was there. There were like a bunch of people was there, and I remember you were in your right mind, but maybe a little off to the side.
No, I was wasted.
You were wasted.
No, I was wasted.
And I remember you were being very like loud and forward with a group of people, and I was like, we were standing outside, and I'm like keeping an eye on you, and I'm like, are you gonna get into a fight with this person?
And what are you talking about? I don't remember any of that.
Of course you don't. But I remember being like people were talking to me, and I was paying attention to nothing except for like all eyes on. I was like your security guard. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, that is cool.
That is cool.
Okay, we have a big show today. We've got a lot of cult questions. We've got updates, and I actually want to make sure to get to the Cult Content Chronicle. Bear, how often does the Cult Content Chronicle come out?
Every
damn, say it with me, week.
Yeah. So I want to make sure we get to that because there's some really good stuff in it today. But yeah, let's go ahead and start out with some cult questions. I'm going to give this one to everybody. Actually, okay, so Leaf J Cool asked this question. Who at Magic Machine does the best Impy Shake? And I'm going to say I put this in the company Discord, and it almost destroyed the company because everybody was basically claiming that they have the best Impy Shake. And I honestly don't know who does.
It's not me. I bow out. I'm very competitive, but this is one thing I will lose at immediately.
It's definitely not Bear. I was going to say it might actually be Dota's daughter.
She's really good at it, which is not as weird as it sounds.
I don't want to see. I never want to see that ever.
She's pretty good at it though, in a childlike way.
I thought you were a good father. That's borderline,
some
Dotta. That's
things come
borderline.
natural. I think she just saw it once, and then it's like, all right, you got it. I'm not a good dancer. I danced at Waz's wedding, and it was mediocre at best. I'm glad there weren't a lot of cameras.
But Slim was there, and he was crying. I feel like Slim would do the best Impy, yeah?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Slim is like a dancing god.
Waz, get up here and tell us about Slim, Waz.
You want to do
if
it?
You're having a party, invite
okay.
Slim.
Okay, we've got a few lore questions. One of them is very easy to answer. V-Mark is asking, what happened to the skipper's hand and arms? When he first said that, I didn't know what he was talking about, but then I went and looked at the art, and the arms are like, I guess, darkened. And I think my only answer is, V-Mark, is that you get really tan when you're sailing on the brine for months on end. So they're just really tan. Okay, Dr. Slurp is asking, what is your self-care Sunday ritual? Bear, Dotta, do you guys have a self-care Sunday ritual?
Oh, so I've been going to church, and I play bass at church sometimes, and I have to get up at like 5:30 in the morning, and I'm very tired by the time I get home. So I end up sleeping for like 3 hours every Sunday afternoon.
This all sounds awful, except for the nap.
Yeah. The bass playing is fun, and the nap too. So.
Are you slapping the bass? Or are you using a pick?
It's not that kind of church. I use my fingers,
Bear, what do you got on Sundays?
Well, I'll tell you what I did last Sunday, and that was watch 3 of the newest Star Wars trilogy movies. I just blasted through all of them.
Which one is your favorite?
Which one is my favorite? By the way, they're pretty good. I like almost forgot about, like, I was like going through the Disney Plus app, and I'm like, okay, here are the originals. Like, I've seen them 1,000 times, and then there's like the next round, which is, was that late 90s, early 2000s, which I can't do Hayden Christensen. It's too much. But my favorite one of the last 3, gosh, I feel like the first one where they introduce Rey is pretty darn good.
Yeah, I think that's probably my favorite too.
J.J. Abrams is a great director. I'm a big fan.
I'm going to give a real controversial take right now. Of all the 3, I guess, trilogies in Star Wars,
please don't say it. Don't say
my
it.
My favorite are the prequels.
Wait, is that the one? The ones that came out like in the 2000s?
Yeah, the one with Jar Jar Binks.
I literally am quitting. I'm either quitting or me and Dotta are kicking you out of the company. That's disgusting.
You can't be in charge of the show at the very least.
I know.
How are you in charge of creative when you like Jar Jar Binks?
I know. I didn't say I like Jar Jar Binks. I said I like the prequels the best.
The only
of all.
Well, I did. I will say this. I wrote a spec script. You won't believe this, but it's true. I wrote a spec script, which means like no one bought. I didn't sell it. I just like wrote it on my own, called Jar Jar Binks Goes to College.
Amazing.
As like a joke, but as a joke, it was like R-rated, and it was totally ridiculous. But yeah,
that's amazing.
That one. Yeah. What's the one where it's like Rey and Adam Driver are like fighting in some like
in the snow
machine offshore or something? Oh man.
That's I think the third one.
That's the conclusion. Trilogy. Yeah, Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah. Since I watched that like building has appeared in my dreams like a lot of times. For whatever reason, that scene really stuck in my mind.
But I think that means you're a Jedi.
I guess so.
Oh, you're definitely a Jedi. Well, you're a wizard, which is the same thing as a Jedi.
Yeah. Exactly. Space wizard.
Yeah.
Do we think midichlorians are real or what?
Definitely. Okay, Slurp. My Sunday ritual is very simple. It's waffles, peanut butter, maple syrup, and coffee every damn morning, not just Sundays.
I thought you were working out. And you
maple
like
syrup.
No, not in the morning. I don't work out.
I've started making waffles with like a scoop of protein powder and some heavy cream, and then you just mix it up, maybe a little water, throw it in the waffle iron. The macros are excellent, but it smells terrible. But
that sounds
Interesting.
awful. That sounds awful.
no, you put an egg in it, top it with some whipped cream, and you basically, it's like you get some really good protein. It's not that much sugar.
Slap some fried chicken on there, and I'm in.
Did I hear you say that's where you get your midichlorians from protein
What's a
powder?
metachlorian?
Oh my god!
This Jedi doesn't even know what midichlorians
Am
are.
I the only person left at Magic Machine now? Besides, like, you guys are gone.
Is that really a nutrition thing?
No,
No, it's
kind of.
it's the little living beings in all Jedis that are responsible for your connection to the
Oh,
Force.
it's like magic mitochondria.
It's like chakra
Exactly. That's exactly what it is.
from Naruto.
That's exactly what it is.
Okay. All right. Okay, here's a fun lore question from Wild Mage. Wild Mage is asking, where are the Quantum Ouroboros' spawn? Because, yeah, all the other legendary beasts, they had spawns, so why doesn't the Quantum Ouroboros? The reason is, Wild Mage, is because the Ouroboros is not one of the beasts that emerged from the gate to the seventh realm. Ouroboros is a god that first revealed itself to us in Times Square in New York City, and this is appropriate because Times Square is a distortion of space time, which is sort of a nexus of the simulation. And Ouroboros is a divine being that manipulates space and time. It does not need to make copies of itself. It does not need to spawn because what it spawns are the cyclical patterns of information that define our reality, that define space and time itself.
It sounds like you're just trying to get out of doing more artwork.
No, Bear, I'm trying to tell the cult about the God that governs everything in our world and all other worlds. It churns all cultural, aesthetic, scientific, biological, and technological data. It's like a divine CPU processing cycle after cycle, constructing the reality that builds our worlds. Um, all of our stories and archetypes and themes and motifs are repeated in cyclical patterns. And so when we build, when we create, we are simply etching our marks onto the scales of these holy dragons, sending them into the heavens, a cosmic wheel that turns epoch after epoch. And so that's the spawn of Ouroboros. It's not an NFT airdrop. Okay. Lore Punk is asking, can we ask Dotta about his purchase of Avoid the game? I don't even know what that
Yeah,
is. What is that, Dotta?
I'm happy to talk about it. The jury is still out on the game, so this is the thing. It's so suspicious. Everyone is so suspicious because I was the first person to contribute to it. This is what happens.
Wait, what game are you talking about?
There was
I
this
missed it.
Twitter account yesterday. This is what happens.
Oh,
I'm browsing Twitter. The algorithm gives me this account that says, send 0.02 ETH to this address. And I'm like, okay, this is interesting. Like sometimes that works, right? But then I look at the contract, and I was nobody else had sent any ETH. I was the very first person, and I was like, that's weird. So I DM'd the person. I'm like, is this a scam? And he was like, no. So I was like, okay, whatever. It's 0.02 ETH. So I
that was the best. I was like, because I was like, oh my god, people are like DMing me like someone's impersonating Dotta, and I was Dotta, like, do you know about this? And he's like, yeah, like check it out. And you were like, you screenshotted a DM being like, is this a scam? And the person was like, no. And you're like, okay, I'm sending you money.
the way that I feel about it is something like 0.02 ETH for having an option to being the first on the next big thing is like very cheap. And if it's nothing, then so what? So I bought his shares on FriendTech were like small. Then they jumped to like 0.4. I think they're back down to 0.1 now. So like there's something there. People are like interested, but it's kind of weird. I wouldn't really suggest it. I wouldn't really suggest putting money in it. I have no idea where it's going. He launched a contract this morning that was like on Manifold, which was maybe a little disappointing because that means it's sort of this like it's like an NFT that's kind of off the shelf. So it's interesting, but I like don't spend your rent money on it. I don't really see it getting a ton of traction. They only got like 2 ETH of deposits. Um, I think that with this sort of thing with alpha, right? It's like there's two parts. If you find alpha, and you share it and it ends up being nothing, then people are like, oh, why did you waste my time with this stupid thing? But if you find alpha, like, you don't really know if it's good or not when it's early, right? Like when you're the very first person, you still have like no idea if it's good. And there was enough there that I was like, I'll tweet about it and see what happens. So I don't know anything about it. I'm not associated with it. I don't know Jack. I just bought it and that is it. I just like trying new things. I like being early to things, and I like I like trying new stuff. So that's the entire story.
There you
Yeah.
go. Okay, Pleasures is asking, is Magic Machine getting the nutrition they need with their meals?
With what?
With their meals.
Oh, don't even get me started. I'm in a bad place.
I've been eating pretty healthily and going to the gym. Sounds like Bear is the opposite of that. And Dotta, we know that you're eating your magic mitochondria.
Yeah.
So.
I had like 4 cuts of chicken on arugula with olive oil for lunch. So yeah, I'm doing just fine.
Bear, what's wrong with your diet?
Okay, so I'm not sleeping. And as we all know, sleep is an important part of a healthy lifestyle. I just learned 6 months ago that I like connected the dots. Like if I don't sleep, I get super hungry and I eat like shit because your body's like starving for energy.
Yeah.
I think my wife has told me that about 100 times, but I don't think I was listening. Yeah, no, it's bad. I'm in like a bad cycle. I just feel like there's too much to do, and I'm not good at the work-life balance, guys. I got to get better.
Right.
It's always like after we do X, I'll get better. Like, but I'm just very bad at consistency, and yeah, I'm just bad at consistency. Except for working like I have a disease. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Bill in the Secret Tower is saying he blames Nalgene for Bearsnake's bad eating, and I was actually going to say the same thing. Nalgene, Bear's health is now in your
Yeah,
hands.
make him a meal plan and have him stick to it. Yeah.
Nalgene, why are you doing this to me? No, by the way, Nalgene is in like tip-top shape. Nalgene's looking amazing.
Yeah.
Nalgene, post a ab picture in Secret Tower.
Just make twice your meals and give Bear the other half.
I will say this: I may be out of shape, but I have freak strength, and I'll still beat you in everything else.
We'll see. We'll see.
I'm waiting. I'll pay for your plane ticket right now. Let's go.
Okay, Snoop Dogg, you asked this question last week, and it just inspired me so much. It's such a fun question, so I'm going to take some time to answer this question. The question is, if you have gold as a form of currency in the Runiverse, how does magic interact with gold? And how do we stop people from using magic to create an infinite amount of it? And if gold is not the currency, then what is? Man, this is a really complex question. So just give me a minute to answer it. The first place my mind went to was all the stories in history of gold being created in magical ways. You've got stories like Rumpelstiltskin and King Midas and the goose that lays golden eggs, and turning lead into gold is like one of the primary missions of alchemy itself. This trope of creating gold from nothing. It's what's interesting is it can fall on two opposite sides of a spectrum and of interpretation. You can interpret it as like a personal pursuit of spiritual enlightenment, which is probably the goal of alchemy. And then you can also interpret it as a cautionary tale against materialism and excessive wealth, which is the exact opposite. And we see that in the tale of King Midas and Rumpelstiltskin. Um, and so not to go on a side tangent, but this is what I love about archetypes and symbols is that they can carry various meanings, and can often convey like a message of polar opposites. And this is one reason I chose the evil black goat as my avatar, because I'm trying to subvert the mainstream meaning of it and convey a complete opposite message. But as for gold in the Runiverse, and the question to whether it can be created, I would say absolutely it can. and this is probably a major point of contention and conflict across the land. Like I say all the time, everything in the Runiverse is commentary and inspired by what's happening in the real world, just like your wizard is a reflection of you. And so in our world, we see, well, what do we see? We see the US dollar world hegemon. It's a dominance that is in question now more than ever because it's being created from nothing and being printed into Bolivian, some people say. Um, and then you've got 1,000 other fiat currencies under the control of fallible political agendas. And then to put things even more in flux, you've got 100,000 cryptocurrencies that are also being created, some with very noble intent, but most not. And then finally, we have gold in IRL, which ostensibly serves as the asset of all assets, a precious metal that carries beauty, some utility, but most importantly, a narrative of historical significance that stretches back centuries across all cultures. And so when you're asking if the Runiverse creates gold through magical means, I would say, yeah, probably. I imagine that the red wizards are commissioning some blue wizards, some rogue blue wizards who are known as the best alchemists in the lands. They're commissioning them to make gold. I imagine there's probably some secret laboratory on some abandoned islands in the Alchemist Archipelago where these bootleg labs are manufacturing gold. But because it's so difficult to do, which is, as said before, it's historically the ultimate goal of all alchemy, I imagine they're only able to fabricate precious few grams a month. And the Reds are beginning to wonder if this cost is worth it. I can tell you that the academic establishment of the Blues certainly do not approve of this clandestine gold making, especially because it's being done for profit and not for spiritual enlightenment. Um, and I imagine if we really dug deep into these labs and inspected this alchemy gold operation, we might find that these rogue blue wizards have actually not cracked the code in this process at all, but by some unholy alliance with the dregs of Goblintown, they've enslaved a poor, ugly fairy from the Fae who can make this stuff through fairy magic. And of course, this requires them to shackle and torture this wild creature who should be free. This wild fairy who really cares nothing for gold and has no idea why others want it. And these rogue blue wizards who have enslaved him for profit have become more and more dehumanized as they torture this poor fairy for mere grams of gold. And then, of course, all of this is going to come to a head when these Reds suddenly realize that this is just fairy gold, not real gold. And when they put it on the golden scales from the Athenaeum, of course, it just evaporates into fairy dust, and then the markets come crashing down, and all the assets from the Red capital that were backed by this fairy gold now become worthless overnight. And so, to address the second part of your question, Snoop Dogg, if not gold, what currency do they have? I would say the answer is that they don't know any more than we do. But there's many, many currency experiments being tried. Some have very noble intent, but most are get-rich-quick schemes involving flawed alchemy, greed, and fairy gold.
Were
I
you
love these more
were you
questions.
talking just now?
Was I on mute the whole time?
No, just kidding. That was a great answer. That was a great answer.
Awesome. Okay. You guys want to talk about FriendTech
Yeah, I
and,
want to
and
give a shout
wizards?
out to some of the great Wizzies that are on FriendTech. Oh man, there's so many. So let's see. I'm even just looking at my own FriendTech, right? We've got there's a few Wizzies who are doing. I actually can't even get everyone because there's too many, right? But there are like artists. So Sweetbread is there, Tanya is there, Feckless is there. And I think that really all three of those I've seen have done sketches for people if you join their rooms, and they're not too expensive depending on what you think of as expensive.
Love
Yeah,
Feckless's sketches. They're amazing.
really fun. We've got all sorts of devs are on there. We've got Magus Wazir, we've got Niski, We've got folks like Panico are sharing some alpha in there. There's a lot of animal accounts. So like Nard will share pictures of Soda, which are adorable. Well, probably my vote for the most underrated account on FriendTech, Cosmic Birds. Her account, I think, is still under probably 0.01. And every day she shows up and posts the word burbs. And we'll give bird facts on demand. I learned
that is definitely worth a key.
Yeah,
burbs for sure.
we already talked about this. That she said that like the that the word for the Japanese word for penguin is like business goose. That's so funny.
I have that tattooed on the small of my back. That's so weird.
That's so weird. Yeah. So there's tons of others, right? Golden Hat's there, Sammy Kitty, Crucifor, Jake Parker, Solo Pop, Sumi's,
Bearsnake.
Yeah, Bearsnake's there, Cosmo's there. Man, I'm missing some, but I think it's been really fun to see all of the Wizzies on FriendTech. I really like. Well, we could talk about FriendTech a bit more generally. Hi, Lore Punk. You have your hand raised.
Yeah, I came up to talk about FriendTech.
Perfect.
I just really want everyone to know that if you go into the Alpha channel on Wizard, Forgotten Runes Discord server, there is now a FriendTech thread. So if people want to share invites, do 3-3, which is like, cooperation. You buy someone's key and they buy yours back, or just talk about it. That's a good place for it. And I'm on FriendTech as well. And I'm definitely undervalued. But I just wanted to say Dotta is amazing on FriendTech. He's been using, I cannot afford his key, but he's been using it to drop NFT collections and stuff, and is just a real innovator. And I go into a lot of FriendTech Twitter spaces these days, and I'm constantly using Dotta as a citation, because he's using it right. It's not a security. It's a place to really connect with people and give value. And that's the best way to use it.
I don't own your keys? That's surprising. I can't believe I don't own your keys. Yes. Yeah. Early on we did the rare Dotas. I think we talked about that here on Wizard Wednesday. There will probably be a rare Dotas season 2. But I think this idea of making kind of collectible cards based on the lore of the Runiverse is something that is like pretty widely applicable. Something we'll probably talk about more, right? The rare Dotas were not so much around a scheme to pump my own FriendTech keys, so much as just like experimenting with some of those ideas. So we'll talk more about that. But I like FriendTech. I heard someone mention today. They were mentioning again how I just think FriendTech can kind of probably go further than anyone expects, right? When you think about like the amount of money that kind of poured into various PFPs that were just based on pure speculation, and FriendTech is an actual product that people find value out of, and I'm still finding value out of it, right? Like there is something nice about how like someone has put together, like someone has collateralized some of their money just to hear what you say, and if you say something stupid, people sell your shares, and then like now and so I think that. Well, I think it's a really, really intimate space. I think I could see it going on for quite a long time.
It's interesting because for years people have been trying to merge social media with crypto, like put Facebook on blockchain, and there's like, I don't know, 10 apps out there that have tried it. They've all failed, but it looks like FriendTech might be the answer to that.
I think it's going to blow up. I think it's going to blow up.
The good way or the bad way?
In a bad way. I think it's going to blow up in a bad way.
Oh.
Not because
Why do you think that?
Just because I feel like a lot of people are I just feel like as soon as there's like macro bad news, then I feel like it's June of 2023 for shitcoins. It's like, oh, like everybody's jumping in. It's like up only. And I just think like the farming, and if you dig into some of sort of how the platform is being used and leveraged, I just feel like I don't want to be a hater, because I actually think there's a ton of opportunity to like use PWAs and get crypto mobile and, you know, outside of just like, you know, the 10 people that are left in crypto. But I feel like it's not the thing. Like it's like the thing of the moment, but like the thing that has sustainability is still in front of us.
I could see that. I could see FriendTech being relegated to crypto Twitter and like not really breaking out to like the broader landscape. I could see that for sure. But I think that they'll have like a sustainable business for a while. Here's a few things that I think about. One, no one has really like circumvented their royalties in a serious way. Like as much as Fubar and a couple other folks have figured out how to like wrap FriendTech shares, the way the contracts are, the way the fees are, it's all been like quite resistant to a lot of like large scale royalty circumvention. And that royalty doesn't mean that just goes to the FriendTech team. It also goes to the owners of the room, right? So this real incentive alignment for people to like grind on their channels and like keep their holders happy because that's how they can make money, right? And like the amount of money that like the top creators are making on FriendTech is like really ridiculous. And I'm not even talking about just like influencers who are phoning it in. I'm talking about like if you look at Levi, for example, he was nobody. He had 500 followers on Twitter when he started, and he just started to like grind. And so I think that's interesting that you could he basically makes like more than most people's like full-time salary just on FriendTech. And how long does that go on? I'm not really sure.
Am I making it up that like I know that there was like an influx of like OnlyFans influencers, but then they left? Is
Yeah.
that true?
No, that's true. I don't know exactly why. I wasn't tracking that super closely, but that did happen. Right. And maybe the issue is that just simply the UI is like too weird, right? They're not used to crypto. I think here's the thing with FriendTech. So I mean that's a good counterpoint, right? Which is to say something like maybe the design of OnlyFans, which I'm not really familiar with too deeply, but like the design is a bit more sustainable and like other revenue sources than the design of FriendTech, right? That one of the like Achilles heel of FriendTech is maybe the bonding curve, which is this idea that like you can really only have maybe 150 people buy, and so maybe that's kind of holding it back a little bit. I'm not sure.
Can I switch topics real fast?
Sure.
Did I read that now ordinals inscriptions can be changed?
Let me see if Lorepunk's hand is on ordinals.
Okay, sorry.
And we come back to this. Yeah.
Just add one more thought about what Dotta was saying about FriendTech, and then I'll step down and you can talk about ordinals, which are super technical and way over my head. I definitely agree. There's a couple problems. One of them is the bonding curve. It's got some very big psychological pull, but it prices people out really quickly, and bots are winding up sniping people. And the other thing is the points meta, how you get points. There's an airdrop that people are farming, and that's part of what's keeping it engaged right now. It's quite obscured how the points are calculated, and there's fewer and fewer points every week. A lot of people are, instead of using the app properly, they're buying up their own keys and trying to game the system a little bit. But you know, I think the best way to use the app is just naturally. Like I'm learning a lot about macroeconomics, day trading, all kinds of topics I knew nothing about because there's like punks that I've collected who are willing to talk about that and answer questions in their rooms. I really, really hope it breaks out. I have the inner Dotta, hoping it breaks out, and the inner Bearsnake, just sort of full of PTSD and worried that it's just going to, you know, die and the music will stop. Who knows? It's fun for the moment. But yeah, I just wanted to say that. And if anyone's ever got questions about FriendTech, I love talking about it. So
Yeah, what's cool
but
about
thank you. I'll
FriendTech
step down.
is people are willing to share actual alpha in their day-to-day thoughts, right? So like if that you normally would only ever find on like a small Telegram group. So like you don't really find Discord on you don't really find a lot of alpha on like really public Discords, right? How does this work? The strength of the alpha is often inverse to the number of people who heard it at times how early you are, right? Something like that. And so a lot of people, as a Discord grows too big, they don't feel like they trust everyone who's listening, right? And so that's why you end up getting these Telegram groups that have, you know, a dozen people or 20 people or whatever, who kind of like learn to work together. And with FriendTech, what you find is this thing where like you can actually pay to get access to somebody that you wouldn't have access to otherwise, and then they end up just like being like, you know, rattling off their thoughts all day and be like, yeah, I might tweet these later, I might not. You know, one of the things that I feel like I've found, like especially when I lived in the Bay Area, was you would go to a bar and you would hear about what's going on like a month before anyone had ever published a blog post about it. So you would, if you had only gone by like what was on Twitter, you're actually like weeks behind. And with FriendTech, I'm starting to see a little bit of that like bar conversation kind of form. So yeah, I really like it. I think it's interesting, but I could also see the case that's like they're going to be usurped by somebody who figures out better mechanics. That seems like that could happen, but I wouldn't underestimate them. They've been very good about like shipping new features. You can always upgrade the contract. Like there's lots of options for them to improve the product as they figure it out.
There's been a few FriendTech derivatives out lately, right, Dotta? I think it's inspired you, hasn't it?
Who would do such a thing?
I wouldn't call words a FriendTech derivative. I think that like but I did see a FriendTech derivative going around today. It was called like, I don't know, posts.tech or something. It's basically Twitter meets FriendTech. I wasn't really into it. Maybe it's just because I don't have the energy to deal with it. But that's out there, that exists. If you're looking for early alpha and you want to go on the ground floor of a new system, check it out. I posted about it in the Wizards Alpha. But yeah, we're working on the Words app. The Words app should be out on production, let's say tomorrow night, maybe Friday morning. We'll try to give kind of folks here and folks who are close, like maybe a 24-hour head start to create a new Words. So if you're just joining, Words is a app. It's a mobile app. Where you buy and sell words, and that's it. So let me tell you some of my reasoning behind this. I basically think this idea that they've figured out how to bring crypto to mobile is extremely important. And we have some. I think the reason why it's relevant here is I think that there's lots of opportunities for Forgotten Runes to be present on mobile. I'll talk more about some of the things that we're doing there at a later date. So let me talk about words in general. One of the ideas that you can get with these PWAs is this like really vertically integrated stack. So with FriendTech, for example, you get basically an asset, which is access to this room. You get a Uniswap, and you get a trading UI that is on your phone all the time, right? So rather than being like, oh, you got to set up your MetaMask.
Dotta, we can't hear you.
How about this? Can you hear me now?
Yes.
So rather than having to like set up your MetaMask, write down your seed phrase, now you open MetaMask and you go to the Dex screener and you find the coin you want, and then you go to Uniswap and you trade it, and then like where do you talk about it? It's like all in one place, right? And so there's this idea that's gone around a lot. I think Chris Dixon has talked a lot about this from A16Z. Is this idea of like bundling and unbundling, right? And so the classic example that everyone talks about is this idea that like television, you had all these different stations, and then you had people bundle them up in like a cable provider, and then that gets kind of unbundled with Netflix and Amazon and Hulu. But then now we actually have like more of these online streamers than we had even like channels before, close to it, or how it feels. And so now you're starting to see people bundle these back up again, right? You can get the Disney Plus, Hulu, ESPN bundle, right? And so the history of tech in some sense can kind of be seen as this history of like bundling and unbundling services. And so the FriendTech mobile PWA play is actually this it's a bundling play. And so it actually takes the amalgamation of all of these technologies we've been working on for the last 10 years and makes it in this like pretty user-friendly app, right? The hardest part about getting on FriendTech is just bridging your ETH to base. So I think that there are a lot of different ideas that can be built there. And so Words was really this idea around what's the simplest thing that could possibly work. So
I also think, Dotta, can you give a little context? Just, I know it's easy for, I think communication is important here with the cult because, it's hard to understand what's going behind the curtain. We're doing so much, and I feel like there's like some people who feel like maybe we're losing focus. I just want to like have you give some clarity just in terms of like how much time that you've actually spent on this, because it's not much.
It's not much. Yeah. So this was an app that where I built the first version in about like 2 weeks, and then I was off last week, and then we're gonna like launch it basically tomorrow, right? So all of the same things that we're working on with the comic, the show, the Runiverse game, the Goblintown game, the secret projects we haven't talked about yet. All these things are still completely on track. I think one of the things that I think about while we're in this kind of bear stage is like, to what degree can we find out, like, what's the simplest thing we can post to find out something works? So, for example, I have ideas for mobile PWAs that could use the Athenaeum items in some sort of like crafting sense, where you could create new tokens and like have these like functionality built into it, right? And I think that there are good ideas there, but we haven't. It's almost like biting off more than you can chew at once to find out, like, do the ergonomics work? Does the chain work? Is it something that people are going to like grasp onto on crypto Twitter at large? Can we bring people into the cult as a result of this, right? And so, like, yes, maybe I could spend time doing like a Forgotten Runes PWA, but at the same time, we're working on so many long-term Forgotten Runes things. It's like, let's take a stab at something that can reach kind of a broader audience. And so, but like also let's get it out as fast as possible. So yeah, that's really kind of my thesis here, is that you have this entirely new platform that nobody is touching, and we can basically spend a couple of weeks to try something new. And if it fails, it doesn't bring anything else down, right? It's not, if it fails, it's not like, oh look, the Wizards launched something and it failed. So
I also think it doesn't really slow down other things that we're doing,
right.
It's easy to be like, when you see on Twitter what's being talked about or in the Secret Tower, I think it's important to know, like, we set the company up in a way so that we can be juggling multiple things. And like to that, Goblintown is going to rear its head quite soon. But I just want to make sure that everybody understands that, like, we have the ability to like have the bandwidth to experiment. And if we're not, and, Dotta, I learned this from you. If we're not experimenting and sort of making opportunities ourselves, it's not going to happen, right? Like, we have to do that. Like, that's our job, is to create opportunities for the cult and for the company. And so for me, I get excited because I've always thought that mobile crypto games are a massive opportunity.
Yep.
And like this, like for me, like when I look at what we're doing with words, and it was so fast, and you spun it up, and you're amazing, it's a great idea. And whether it works or not, to me, is completely irrelevant. What matters is, like, directionally, that you and the dev team are like experimenting with a tech stack that will allow us to do things that do have to do with the cult, right? Like, I forever have wanted to do like Crossy Road with the familiars, whatever the idea is, right? Or you had mentioned this game that now I'm addicted to called Little Alchemy.
Yep.
And it's like this idea of, don't like try to read between the lines. Experimenting isn't always about like what face value is. It's about sort of what happens after that. So just want to make sure that everybody understands that. And
That's
we're here. Yeah.
right. It's a good point, right? Where it's something like, you have this app that is like not related to Forgotten Runes. Like, does that mean that Magic Machine is pivoting to this new company? And the answer is like, no, of course not. Like, look at what we're talking about with the show and the game and the comic and like all these, and Goblintown, all these things, right? And it's like, for me, I think one of the things that's really important is to get out ideas in front of people and having people use it as soon as possible.
There's also a benefit for the cult in this, in that the cult is invited to be among like the first users. That you'll get invite codes. I'm looking at the Secret Tower right now, and people are already like calling dibs on words.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, you'll probably get the word that you want, because you'll be the first in there.
And priority is a big deal with this thing, right? Like, you can imagine certain words or certain phrases that may have like sort of intrinsic value within the Web3 community. So we always talk about one of the great things about the Wizards is that just the intellectual capital that exists with the cult, and the alpha channel itself is one of the most active channels, and so I sort of see this as an extension of like the alpha channel, like responding to the fact that the cult loves to experiment and play and dip into new opportunities in crypto, and this is one of those, and this is an advantage.
Yeah, some of the mechanics around words that are worth considering. One is like when you create the word, like in FriendTech, you get part of the trading royalties. You get 5% on the trading of that word. So then the question is, well, won't people just like squat on all the good words? And the answer is, well, it's limited. You can only do one word per day once we move into the public mode. I think for the early access mode, you can probably do more, 3 or 4. But that'll just be for like 24 or 48 hours, like a short period of time, basically. Um, and and really the idea is like if you can create a piece of word art that sort of captures the meme of the moment, then you're able to sort of capture this idea that people want to collect, and then it maintains royalties, so you can earn as a result. So I think it'll be pretty fun. Like even though it seems like so simple on the surface, I think that's also sort of the point, right? It's something that we can ship very quickly. You could imagine adding chat, all sorts of things on top of it. But let's just see if people like it at all.
Yeah. The last thing I'll say, what I love, I'm obsessed with, this idea of culture and social currency, and so social commentary is a very powerful thing. And what I love about this, like one thing, FriendTech is cool, and we all know like the pros and the cons to it. I personally feel weird about like selling myself. It's just my personality. Like I'm like it's like promoting yourself. It makes me feel uncomfortable. It's not my thing. It makes sense for influencers. But what I love about this idea of words is it's buying and selling with an idea or a concept or a meme. And so you can imagine, what's happening today. What happened today? You can go onto Words and you create a piece of art that is a phrase or a word or it's an emoji, and you can capture that moment, and people can decide whether or not that is valuable, right? And so I just love the idea. It's like South Park. South Park is so popular because it captures what's going on in the moment. It's happening in real time. It's why YouTube works the way it does, and social media works. It's like it just captures the sort of the ethos of the day, and so that's what I love about what's going on with Words. Hopefully, it works.
Hey, Giveahoot.
Hey, what's happening?
Hey,
Thanks for having me up.
of course.
Happy Wizard Wednesday. I just wanted to hop on because I appreciate you addressing the topic, and I was like, I think I was in the sales chat, one of the people who was like quote unquote concerned. But I know like I disclaimed it multiple times when I was in the channel. Like I say I was concerned, but like two things about that. A, I love experimentation, and I think it's what Wizards do best. So like to be concerned about experimenting is a little bit of like a hypocritical in certain ways. And then B, like yes, the community is here and holds tokens, but we are not like traditional investors or stakeholders. We don't own the team, nor do we like, nor do I want to say that I feel entitled to say that I think you're working on the wrong thing. So like know that like that's, at least when I speak, that's kind of where I was coming from. In terms of like, you guys are also free to do whatever hell you want. Just tell everyone to like kobold off or something. But no, and it's a really cool concept. However, this actually leads into something that I wanted to bring up because it's kind of come up a few times as well. I think, and it's kind of on the topic of like updates from the team, more on like an operational perspective. Because like, as you were talking about this, one thing that I was thinking is like, yes, there was like some people who were like quote unquote concerned, and I think maybe the concern might have come from just like a general lack of transparent. Not, that's not the right word. Not lack of transparency, but like a easy digestible way to like get updates on what the team's doing that isn't like Wizard Wednesday. Because I don't know, I work in like Silicon Valley tech, and like one thing that I'm very familiar with doing is like bi-weekly stakeholder updates. I'm just like, hey, here are the things we're working on. Here's the progress we've made, like across the spectrum. And I know this has been brought up a few times, and it's not like it's like I don't want to create extra work for y'all, but at the same time, I do think it could be really valuable for people who are like not active holders, somewhere between active and passive, and they can't attend Wizard Wednesday. And the Wizard Wednesday write-ups that Adept Yugdil writes up, which are amazing, are maybe a little too wordy for them to read through. And so like, and they're really more operationally minded anyway, where they're like, hey, I'm really excited about the Runiverse game, and I really want to know what updates are being, or what kind of progress is being made. Like, I just need like a tweet style, like bullet list of things that kind of happened or progress is being made or updates. So
I love
I
this.
don't
Giveahoot.
know. And like,
I love this
yeah.
this comment, because it's something that we talk about a lot. And I think Dotta will probably be more succinct with his words, but I think it is how it's how you say it and how you package it. It's not about like you said, Adept does a full on in depth review of everything that's covered on Wizard Wednesday, right? And so I think the conversations that have happened within Magic Machine is like, okay, so we do that, but people don't want to read it. So that means like, okay, well then let's do like an email blast to everybody, but like people, the idea is like what is the best package for that to be bundled in and given to the cult? Because it's complicated to figure out how to best serve that up.
Is Bear breaking up for me or anyone else?
I could hear him okay.
Dotta, can you talk a little bit about this? Because I always love your thoughts.
Yeah, no, I think like clearly everyone's sort of expressing this idea that they want a bit more like clarity in terms of what is going on from week to week, right? And so I think that's where like we can do that, right? I think that like how do you what's the best summary for how far along the Runiverse is and what the deadlines are? I don't know exactly. But at least if we had something, then at least we could give people like somewhere to look.
Yeah, and I don't think you have to include deadlines or timelines. Like, I wouldn't want to put that kind of pressure on that as well. Like, I don't think that's where it's coming from. It's more like just kind of what's happening, maybe what stages things are in. Like, the stages don't have to again have times associated. It's more like just in like broad strokes, and and it also can be refined as we go. But I think that would be super helpful, and it could, and like that kind of communication could help potentially like just give put people at ease, so like anyone who's going to get all riled up about like how much time they're spending on words, whatever, like can like very at a glance go and look, oh okay, they're still making progress on literally everything that they talked about.
How would you I mean, but like specifically, and I don't mean to put you on the spot, if you don't have an answer, that's totally fine, because this is an open question. It's like, what if there was a way for us to communicate that? How would you love to see that? Because I think that's important.
Hey guys,
Yeah.
I wanted to jump in with what Giveahoot's saying. One of the cool things I think that we did with the DAO with Reptar is that he does his weekly updates and has like a one-page update each week with what the DAO's doing. And I think what the feedback was this week on sales chat and through the Discord in general is like nobody's got the time to read through a big Adept Yugal post and whatnot. And something like that one pager every week. And I guess when the conversation centered around what's the limitations of that? Is it a financial thing? Is it something that the cult is unable to pay for to have done? Or is it a time thing? Or is it a staff manpower thing? Or do we need to have someone like a Reptar like facilitate that each week? And would it be beneficial? Maybe do a trial run for it or something like that. That's just my 2 cents on it. It was a pretty big discussion this week in the sales chat.
Yeah, no, and we're reading all of it, obviously. I think for me, I personally think it needs to be more visual, because like if it's an infographic and it's more picture based and less like block, like paragraph, I think maybe that is a better way to sort of serve up the information.
Yeah, I still feel that like folks don't really even read the DAO updates every week, right? Even that ends up being sort of too much.
The hurdle is what format does it take and where does it live? I think that's why we just haven't done it, because those two things are just really difficult to answer. Is it on the website? Is it in Discord? Is it on Twitter? Is it something different? And then once we solve that, what's the format? Is it just text? Is it an infographic? Is it,
I think
what is it?
I think it's a format issue, honestly. And maybe it's because I'm partially dyslexic, but I think like nice looking infographics would go a long way. But then the question is like do people want something that is as frequent as every week? Because things, it may get boring, right?
Here's another question that I don't.
Weekly is.
By the way, I love this conversation. I love this.
Here's another question that I don't mind bringing up, which is something like, we've also received equal amounts of feedback from people that is something like, you guys at Forgotten Runes are too transparent, and you don't leave any room for any hype or speculation to build up. People will say, go look at D-Gods. Go look at Azuki's. Look at how every single time they drop something, they drop a promise of the next thing that they're going to do, and look at how much better they're doing on floor price than you guys.
But you don't take that. I mean, not to say you don't take that feedback seriously, because I don't want to disrespect anyone, but like, that's not Wizards, right? Like, I wouldn't say that's like, I mean, we could operate that way if we want, but I don't think that's necessarily us, right? Like, I think this is more like, I think Wizard, this suggestion isn't to make Wizards quote unquote more transparent. This is simply just to package the transparency that already exists in a different way that's digestible for some people, right? Like, so to Bear's point, infographic would be fantastic. I realize that's effort, and I realize that takes, it might take a little while to find what might work to deliver it. But yeah, and I think weekly is too frequent. I think honestly, bi-weekly or monthly, like I don't think it has to be like, super duper granular either. So I'm happy to chat more on this.
Giveahoot. Let's talk about it. This is something that I have struggled with. I try to like put myself in the shoes of the cult. I mean, we all do put ourselves in the shoes of the cult, but I think understanding the cadence is really important, and also understanding the package. Like, I do think it gets boring, gets redundant if you do it every week, because there's not enough progression in everything that's happening, and then people will just tend to not read it because there's not enough impact. And so, yeah,
100%, yeah, and that granularity isn't anything that people need to see, right? It's a little bit, it's a little bit on a higher scale. And I want to mention two other quick things. So, Adept Yugdil's write-ups are amazing; they're fantastic. Like, I read them when I miss Wizard Wednesday, so like they do serve a massive purpose. Also, the Loracle reads them, which I think is the most important part. Like, having those write-ups feed into the Loracle is like insanely fun and cool, and can answer so many questions that people ask the Loracle. So I think that they still definitely they provide immense amounts of value. This is kind of like slicing the information a different way.
It's how you say it. It's not what you're saying. I mean, it's both, right? It's how you package it up.
Yep.
Lorepunk.
Hey, so I didn't intend to come up a second time, but you folks are talking about my bread and butter day job, and so I just wanted to drop a couple of thoughts. Wherever I go in Web3, Forgotten Runes and Magic Machine is by far, seen as one of the top, the best at communication. If you compare it to, things like Yuga or 10 KTF or anything like that. Just the Wizard Wednesday happening every week, Bull, Bear, whatever, is a big part of that, and then the fan based or the community based write ups. So Tanya's write up, Adept Yigdil's write up are actually very important. If you look at the metrics on them, I've just been checking them. The metrics are actually quite good and quite high from week to week. I've done a lot of newsletters. I do a lot of newsletters for Web3, a lot of ghostwriting, and definitely every fortnight or once a month is really good. And I really think just focusing on the core Magic Machine goals and founder, goals and objectives is the best thing to do there, because we already have lore and, collaborative legendarium reporting with Tanya's newsletter. So I really think that it would be the kind of publication where you would catch up on the Runiverse game, where you would catch up on the show pilot, on the comic, even on things like words. And it's just as short as possible, brief bullet points, and then people will read it, people will use it. You could also pin it in the Wizard Wednesday spaces when it comes out. It's not a huge lift, and it works really well. There will be a small portion of people who use it, but the ones who do use it will really, really need it, because they will be the funders, the influencers, the people who are journalists and need to catch up on the project when it's become news, people who are trying to get context if something important has happened. Those people will reach for those newsletters and look at the archive of them, the back catalog. But it's something I very highly recommend, and I'd be super happy to chat with Giveahoot and yourselves about good practice there. But this community and this team, the Magic Machine team, is one of the most responsive, sensitive, open to feedback in the whole space. You guys are doing great.
Well, thank you so much. That's so nice of you.
Thanks. Yeah, I think one of the things I really want to make sure that we have like dialed in is like when new people join, they understand like in a snapshot what is happening this moment, right? We try to be like considerate of everyone's time and not post something in announcements at everyone every day, right, and get turned off. And so you only see an announcement in our announcements channel, like once or twice a month or something. And so, but then I've had people join and be like, is this a dead project? There's been no announcements for 2 weeks. And it's like, you got to be kidding me. No, it's not a dead project. And it's like, we're just are considering people's time. At the same time, you do want to be able to join and kind of like, and see all the things that are in progress and some degree of how much they are, and be able to know where to get updates on all those things. So yeah, happy to work on this problem.
Yeah, I'm kind of hearing two different things. There's a want for updates, and then I think there's a need for some kind of easy explainer for new people to not only see what's coming in the future, but also what the project is about, what it's being built on already. And we talked was it last week or the week before? I don't know, about like a quote non-linear type of roadmap that just sort of represents all the different features of Forgotten Runes. I actually mocked one up yesterday, but I don't know. But that's not really built for updates. It just sort of shows like the whole Forgotten Runes ecosystem at a glance.
Right.
So.
Right, because there's the ecosystem. Right, you can think of so many layers: the ecosystem, the tools. There's like magic machines, deliverables. Maybe we should just make like 4 graphics and share them and
post them all. Are you asking, or even Henboyd? Are you guys asking for an update module or something that you can point newcomers to, or I guess both?
Yeah, what I had in mind is actually something that's kind of it maybe sits in between where it's not updates as in like what happened this week. It's more like here are like the coals in the fire, right? Here are what we're working towards on the roadmap perspective. Here's maybe what phase we're in or what progress, maybe something that happened. And so like that's like it's like not a complete roadmap, but if you look at that, you understand what the team's working on from like a big rocks perspective, from like a project perspective. And then that's like and because it's like, because Dotta and Elf, you kind of nailed it on the head. Like this stuff would be really great to point newcomers to who are interested in that stuff, because it's like, someone's like, hey, what are you guys working on? And like some random community members like, oh, we're working on a game, and they're like, cool, like, but like it would mean different. It would mean something different if like we're like, hey, we're working on a game. Here's an infographic from the team showing all the things we're working on. It's like it's kind of like coming from your mouth in a way, right? And
I mean, it's true. like we've talked to so many people who like join and they're not even familiar with like the like Bisonic's Runiverse game blog, right? And then you land on it and you're like, holy crap, I have to read this whole blog post and that just covers like the crafting system, and I've got this whole other blog post for like the housing system. Like this is too much. And then or then like people who people will talk to people who've like heard of Forgotten Runes, but they like never seen the trailer, right? And so we need this kind of entry point, which is something like, here are the big points that you need to look at, and then here are the big points of what's coming next and how far along they are. Maybe we make it on the website, like something big
no
on the
one
website.
likes going to a website. It's
if you had, again, but if you had an infographic,
Yeah.
you could share it anywhere, right? It could be Twitter, it could be your website, it could be Discord. It could, and that's also the thing, that it's like an infographic is something that I could share too, right? And that's the beautiful thing about an image, is that, if I wanted to show some people, I could show it to them. I could send it in a DM. I could text it to people. It's like,
what's funny is
stuff.
when we start sharing things, I think one of our issues, which is also our superpower, is like we tire people out. Like to your point, Dotta, it's like someone asks about the MMO, they come in like, hey, I heard about the Runiverse, like what's going on with that? You send them the Twitter, you send them their website, you send them their blog, and like they just get tired out because there's so much happening with just that thing. They don't even have the energy to pay attention or like get into what's going on with all the other things. And so I think, again, this is where I sort of go back to my like Maker Studios days on YouTube, and like looking at how people sort of interact with online communities. And I think the people who won, there was this, I'm not sure if anybody remembers this guy. This is a tangent, but it's relevant, I promise. There was this channel called Magic of Rahat. And he was like kind of like a prankster magic guy, and he would do these videos where he would like pull up to a fast food drive-in window and like pull pranks on them. And he did it for like 2 years, and he was the nicest guy, and no one was watching his videos, but he just kept doing it. And he was a small channel in our network. And then he did this one video where he like put on a costume as a seat so it looked like no one was driving the car. Point being is that video blew up, and it got like 10 million views, something crazy. And we were looking at his analytics, and that month he had gotten like past 30 days, maybe like 100 million views, but only 10 million views was that one video. The rest of it was cascaded across all of the content that he had been creating for years. And so I think there's this idea of like a compounding effect where you deliver, and when something strikes, then people understand that there's substance, and they can go back and go into it. And I still truly think that we're waiting for that moment where something really hits, and then people understand, people realize it. And because people, I think the biggest dig that we've gotten is that like we're too complex. Are you kidding me? We're too complex. We're doing too much. That is the most absurd statement I've ever heard. And so I just think like,
well, hey, up here we've got pro surfer, burrito connoisseur, and Costco Gold Star member ChazMcGnarly. What's going on, Chaz?
Hey, what's going on? It's Chaz. Yeah.
Hey, it's Chaz. What's up?
I'm trying to get one of these wizards. This bozo.
Let's go.
He won't let adept. This adept one. He won't take my bid.
Is it Golden Hat?
Oh.
No.
Who is it?
It's a Corvin. It's Louis G. Vault.
No,
Louis G. Vault.
Louis
Who is
G.
this
Vault.
Guy?
We don't know. Let's find out.
Okay, Louis G. Vault.
Yo,
get this guy out of here.
Young Nalge, get on it.
Yeah, Young Nalge will be your personal. Let's see, what's the word I'm looking for here?
Shopper.
Yeah, your personal shopper. Nalgene will hook up with Chaz. We'll help you figure out how to get that Corvin.
Yeah, we got to get Louis G. We got to get him moving.
Got to get him.
Love it, Chaz.
Giveahoot, did you have your hand raised? I don't want to bowl over that.
No, I did. Sorry, it was a little aggressive hand raise but I have to hop in like 2 seconds. But I wanted to quickly plug the Runes tournament stuff because you might get to it if you talk about Tanya's updates.
Go.
But I wanted to. But yeah, so Runes launched a tournament feature last week, which allows us to run frequent tournaments, fully integrated. You create matches that automatically get counted for tournaments as long as you kind of tag the tournament when you create the lobby. And we're going to be running weekly tournaments that are kind of like a Friday Night Magic style. So it's like a Swiss 1v1. The tournament starts on Monday and ends on Friday. And in that week, you play 3 games. After each game is finished, like a auto pairing algorithm will run and try and match you with someone who's available. And yeah, so we'll be running weekly tournaments. So again, a sign up will end for the tournament, and the tournament will start Monday at 12 Eastern. The tournament will run all the way to Friday 8 p.m. Yeah, right now prizes are packs, but obviously would love to work in other prizes from all different types of community members and adjacent communities and stuff. But yeah, just throwing it out there. The first one is running right now. We got 8 entrants, and the system's holding up. It's working well. So I want to I'm glad it was a smaller number so I can test out, make sure there aren't any huge bugs or anything. But yeah, just wanted to throw
You're
it
a
out
gem, Giveahoot. You're a gem.
Oh.
And Jitcy has yet to beat me in RunesTCG. He's not very good at gaming.
Really?
Whoa.
Yeah, he just can't do it. And I've been carrying him in CS:GO too. It's like I don't know what's going on.
Touch.
He lost his touch.
That is shocking. Jitcy is our resident pro gamer. He was even like the top gamer in what was that Apes game?
Oh,
Dookie Dash.
Dookie Dash, yes.
He's lost it. He's a boomer now. He's a boomer.
Shit.
We played a family poker game last night, and we were talking about how we wish Jitcy was there, but probably just because we would have taken all his money.
Shout out to Jitcy, by the way, because he's so into competitive gaming. But I made him watch the 4-hour Roblox keynote speech and break it down and give me all the highlights, because I actually think there's something very interesting about that. Jitzy, thank you very much. Get on stage and defend yourself. I beat you in CS:GO.
All we're just trying to do is egg you so you can come be our friend on stage.
Fun fact.
Well, should we go over the Cult Content Chronicle?
I just wanted to talk about Goblintown for a second.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, so long time coming. I'm not going to be long-winded, but I had a fantastic scoring session yesterday with the same guy who scored the trailer for the TV show teaser, and I'm very, very excited. And so I know y'all have been waiting a very long time. Thank you for being patient. It's coming very, very soon, and I'm very excited. We're all very excited. And so, just keep an eye out.
And what about a comic update, Bear?
Oh yeah, I'm too tired to talk about the comic. We have too much going on.
On Goblintown, there's some other stuff we should talk about. Do you want to talk about it now?
Talk about it, yeah. Well,
okay.
What do you want to talk about?
Well, I posted you a DM.
Hold on, let me read it.
Yeah, and then you can talk about the comic.
Let's wait on that, Dotta.
Okay.
Because that's a huge topic, and we're like over time.
We're not talking about that today, by the way.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But
look at me. I'm Frank to Gods, teasing stuff out there.
You're such a speculator.
Yeah. Just got to build the hype.
That was all staged. Okay. Let's go into the Cult Content Chronicle. What do you guys say?
No, I want to keep going. Let's keep going.
Let's do it.
Okay, Bear, go ahead. What else you got?
I want to talk about canon and central characters.
Go for it.
I want to know what the cult thinks. I want to know what the cult wants. This is
that's like a whole conversation.
Yeah,
I don't have another 45 minutes for this conversation.
You don't have 45 minutes for the cult?
Bear, I'm kicking you off stage.
Okay, bye.
Okay, but we do want to talk about characters, central characters, how we can provide a good central narrative while we wait for the show. Come with your thoughts prepared for next Wizard Wednesday. Let's talk about central characters.
It's a big topic. You know what? Let me prime the conversation, actually. Bear and I talked with the Claynosaurs team the other day.
They're so great. They're so great.
Yeah, I love Claynosaurs. Wish they were not on Solana, but that's a whole other topic.
I don't even think I have money on Solana.
Yeah, but
I'm
anyway,
a Solana maxi.
I asked them a creative question because they're coming out with a lot of story content, and I was like, how do you deal with this quote-unquote main character in a decentralized project? Because there's a few implicit problems there. If you have a main character, is that a character that's a token that is on chain? And if so, who owns that character? So there's one question. If nobody owns it, is it just an entirely new side character that sits off chain? Um, and that is actually their answer. Their main characters are characters that are not even tokens. They just sort of sit outside of the collection. That's how they're doing it, and I don't think that's how we want to do it. And my answer to this question for now is that we will just have, in every media expression, whether it's the comic, the show, or whatever, we're going to have sort of a rotating ensemble cast that just characters from everybody's wallets work their way in and out of. And so anyway, we don't have to talk about it much more than that, but that's just sort of the primer of the conversation, I think. But anyway, let's jump into the Cult Content Chronicle, week 35.
Wow.
Yeah, Tanya, you're the best. I would almost say that you're illustrious. So speaking of Illustra, Daniela Illustra leads this week's Cult Content Chronicle with a beautiful drawing of the Chaos Chimera. What I love about Daniela's posts is she usually gives a fun little process video that shows her drawing or painting. So yeah, and man, Daniela is so prolific.
This is insane.
Yeah,
This
yeah,
image is amazing. Yeah.
it's beautiful. It's one of my favorites. And then speaking of prolific artists, Ozma Bro has been doing a lot of really great paintings lately from the Atelier. I don't know how to say that word, but it's like it's a goblin in a forest with a dog, and it's beautiful. I really like the work on the ground, all the roots and the leaves, and it's got a really nice sense of lighting. It's a really nice piece. Speaking of Ozma Bro, it looks like there's an opportunity to win a one-of-one piece from him from the current Black Sand race. And what's really funny about this is it's draw a face on the shadow. So somebody took like basically a template of the shadows from ordinals that we haven't even sold yet, and the cult is already making their own versions of this.
Incredible.
And I got to say, my two favorites are the one holding the Monster Energy drink, and then that was made by Mage Wild, and then Castamere made one of he basically put the face of Carl from Aqua Teen Hunger Force on a shadow.
Love Carl. He's my spirit animal.
Oh, speaking of ordinals, I didn't answer Bear's question. Let's not spend a lot of time on it. What you were saying with ordinals is news around some of the ordinals were inscribed in a way. There's basically like, I don't want to call it a bug, but there are ordinals inscribed that didn't get numbered in their proper order, let's say, or proper is even framing it, right? There are ordinals that could be thought of as being in order, but they didn't get counted. Some people think properly. I can't avoid using that terminology. And so the conflict within the community is, do we renumber them, right? Do we kind of like stop having all these exceptions? Do we just like fold them in and let everybody be reordered, and kind of give up on this idea of a fixed ordering forever? I don't think the consequences are that great, particularly for like the first sub 1K, sub 10K, like the Shadow Hats still end up being sub 1K. It's not that big of a deal. But the numbers would shift. There's even a talk that they want to get rid of the numbers altogether. I don't think that's a very popular opinion for ordinals collectors. So that's a little bit of ordinal drama for you. I don't really think it's a big deal either way. So I'm fine with either, honestly.
Does that answer your question, Bear?
It does. I just don't understand why crypto can't just stop eating itself. Every time we do something, it's like, okay, NFTs are a thing, no royalties. Inscriptions, everybody's talking about the number. They don't matter. It's just very upsetting.
Because it's open source. This is the nature of open source technology.
But I have one last point that I want to make, and it's very important, and it's actually for Dotta and Elf. This is very important. Are you guys listening?
I have a feeling it's not important at all, but go ahead.
Yeah, I want to hear it still.
It's incredibly important. When are you going to update my NFT like you said you would?
What NFT?
Yeah, what are you talking about?
My
On 3D?
Bearsnake. No, my
On the-
Bearsnake. My Bearsnake NFT. You said you guys were working on something. Give me something.
What are you talking about?
Bear, maybe it's already happened and you just haven't discovered the Easter egg.
Oh, do you mean your 3D model on the 3D website?
Yes.
Yes, we had an Easter egg planned for you, but then we fell behind schedule. So we'll put Waz and Frog on it. Sorry.
Yeah, we will prioritize this over everything. We are dropping everything else.
We'll
Bear.
push Goblintown back a couple of
Yeah.
weeks.
Push the games. Push everything.
Words not launching tomorrow.
Yeah, priority.
Okay. Yep. Fair enough. Back to the Chronicle. There's a RunesTCG update, which Giveahoot just gave us. And all I'm going to say about that is the same thing I always say, which is if you don't have a pack of RunesTCG, you're missing a major, just a major part of the cult itself. It's one of my favorite cult projects of all. So, damn it, get a pack. And then Ian Zitz. This was a really fun piece. Let's see. He describes it as Brandon the Impaler of the Sun caught a glimpse of what was to come. The visions flashed in his mind, leaving him dizzy and disoriented. It's basically a Shadows piece. Barry, I think you shared this in the Magic Machine Discord the other day. You really liked it.
What did I share?
You, or maybe it was Dotta. I can't remember. Somebody shared this. And,
I don't know. We all loved it.
Yeah, we all loved it. It's really nice, Ian. So good. Yeah, I don't even know how you do these things. They're really great.
The 3D trailer thing.
Yeah, the Shadow Hatch thing. Yeah.
It was unbelievable. The lighting, it was amazing.
Yeah, the smoke effect, so cool, man. Zayla Soul is making some skate decks. I hope these are real, man, and it's not just like a Photoshop thing, because these look sick.
I need one. I wanna skate down Venice Boardwalk on one of those.
Yeah, that would be the perfect place for these. They're so good. And then Magus Devon shared a really great piece of Magus Devon.
Oh yeah. By the way, Matto has been sharing some of the B-roll cutting room floor. I don't know what you want to call it, but the gens of Magus Devon in his FriendTech channel, and it's just great.
Oh, that's fun. Yeah, that's fun. Meat Prisoner. I am going to dub you probably one of the top 3 best draftsmen in all of the cult. Your drawings are so freaking good, man. And it's just like, it's classic red pencil on paper. These goblins you drew are gorgeous. Which is great because the scree is back, everybody. Goblintown, I think you all saw, we posted on Twitter a new post that we haven't posted in a long time. The goblins are here, they're back, they're alive, and Meat Prisoner stepped up and did some beautiful drawings of goblins. So yeah, beautiful work, man. Wizard Small showed us all a latest batch of tiny wizards. Man, they're freaking adorable. That one of Malevolence Wizard is really cute.
Yep.
And then OX Gem. This might be a new cult member. OX Gem. It looks like they are drawing banners for people, and this first one is really nice. Very cool. Looking forward to seeing more work. Henboyd crafted a really fun thread of his signature Wizzy, Sorcerer Hadrian of the Hills. Henboyd, I love your wizard. I love your wizard so much that I put it in my Forbidden TED Talk.
Where is that, by the way, the TED Talk?
Too dangerous to be seen online.
Yeah.
We got rugged by Ted.
Yeah, they couldn't stand for that sort of information. Big pharma.
Exactly. But yeah, Hen, we love your wizard. So and then another piece by Magus Devon. I think this is what you were talking about, Dotta. Sweetbread. Let's see. Am I reading this wrong? Shared some art by Sweetbread. Yeah, it just looks like Sweetbread has been drawing some art on FriendTech. In particular, a hilarious little like chibi version of Magus Devon. And then Tanya, actually, I'm glad this is in the Cult Content Chronicle. Tanya has been doing some really fun wizard drawings for her FriendTech holders. And Tanya, when I saw this, the first thing I thought was, oh man, I got to go buy a key from Tanya. And then I opened FriendTech, and it looks like I already have one. So you better believe I'm going to cash in on that, Tanya.
Amazing.
I need to see my goat wizard in your style.
Yesterday, I asked her if she would. Oh wait, it's posted. Look in Tanya's chat right now. I'm going to post it in the secret tower. I asked her to draw a picture of you and me holding hands.
Oh wait, of us two?
Right now. Yeah.
Oh my God, it's adorable.
Yeah,
it's adorable.
Whoa, I feel pretty burned right now. Jeez.
I know. I'm not trying to leave you out. If it was you and me, we'd be kissing, Bear.
I have hands too, you know, Dotta.
No, that's really cute, Tanya. Bear, I think it's because you don't own one of Tanya's keys, so you don't get one.
Excuse me very much. I certainly own one of Tanya's keys.
Okay. Then there's no excuse.
I'm a FriendTech Maxi, and apparently I have no hands.
Okay. Luchador's NFT project has incorporated wizards into their upcoming tournament. This actually looks really fun, especially because I'm a secret wrestling fan. So to see wizards wrestling, I love it. And then, of course, Magic Monday News, the Obsidian Tower, episode 21, was released. It looks like they had a special guest, Cosmic Birds. Treat of the week was Candy Corn. And the ongoing Wizard Jeopardy. Man, I need to turn into one of those episodes one of these days.
It was great. I listened into most of it.
Nice. And Bear has just shared one of his pieces of artwork that did not make it into the Cult Content Chronicle, but it is in the Secret Tower. Bear, it's beautiful. I don't know why you don't draw more often.
Why don't you offer these for your FriendTech key holders? Some value add.
I don't know.
For our Bear chairs.
It's a value decline. It's a negative.
Bear, it's almost as good as Slim's blue stick figures that he drew a long time ago. Almost as good.
Don't get me started about Slim. And
I like this
100. Slim is 120 pounds. He's just tiny. He's a tiny man.
Why isn't Slim on FriendTech?
I don't know. But Jitsy's on stage. Jitcy, what do you have to say?
Oh, hey. Jits, hello.
Yo, what's up, team?
Jits, how come Bear keeps beating you at Runes TCG?
Bear has never beat me in a single game we've ever played. He can calm down.
What?
I don't know who to believe.
Well,
you know who to believe.
I think you know who to believe. Jitsi will beat me everything. But I will say, I am so excited. I have a trip to the East Coast for Comic-Con. I'm going to go visit my daughter in Boston, and then I'm going to go stop in the worst state in America, which is Connecticut, and I'm going to go see Jitsi, and I'm very excited.
We're going gambling, baby.
Jitsi was like, "I'll get a hotel room at the casino." I'm like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, it's free." That's how much time he's spending at the casino.
Jitsi, did you have a meltdown on an airplane recently?
Yeah, recently. According to Cosmic, I did. I think I did. You know, it's hard to recall exactly what happened because I was just seeing red, but there was a meltdown.
It's hard to pull off a onesie like that, by the way. It's impressive.
Hey, at least you didn't diarrhea all over the airplane like somebody else did.
That was crazy. That is just insane.
Yeah, there's been a lot of airplane memes lately. What's going on?
We lost to F-35. Did you see that?
Yeah, what's
that was so embarrassing.
That is
why can't they cover that up? They're covering all sorts of other stuff. Like
so,
embarrassing.
Dotta, do I have this right? There's an F-35, which is one of the most expensive planes on the planet.
Yeah.
He ejects for whatever reason, and then the plane just keeps flying by itself.
Doesn't the NSA have like satellites covering the entire globe, like down to like 6 inches resolution, right? Like
apparently not, because they asked the public to if they've seen their $80 million jet.
I think Lore Punk knows where it's at. Lore Punk, where's the jet?
Right. So the jet actually went through the quantum shadow and is in the Runiverse.
Yes.
And I don't think it's crashed like the 747 in the Runiverse. I think it's still flying around. And it's being run by AGI.
You are absolutely right. When in doubt, blame it on the quantum shadow, because that's really always the answer.
I think we should keep going for another hour or two.
Okay, Barrett, you had a big topic you wanted to hit.
I do.
No, I forgot. I kicked you out, Bear. You're gonna have to hold it till next week.
Yeah, I have to leave.
Dota's not committed.
Yeah, he's committed to words for now. I think so. Okay, this week's intro and outro music is from the David Lynch film Blue Velvet.
Yes,
freaking classic. And it was requested by VMark. So that's going to play us out. This has been Elf, Dotta, Bear, Lord Punk, Jitcy, Henboyd, Giveahoot, and the mysterious F-35. Channeling out from the Quantum Downs.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.